Welcome everyone. Before we start, I would like to briefly introduce myself. My name is Silvia Locatelli and I'm a researcher and project manager in sustainable agriculture and food systems. I hold a PhD in crop science from the University of Padua, where I worked on innovative and sustainable cultivation systems. I've also attended several courses in organic farming and agroecology and served as a teaching assistant in organic horticulture at Padua University. Currently, I'm involved in EU-funded projects focused on sustainability and agri-food innovation, and that's why I'm really glad to lead today's lesson on organic farming. So today we will start with an overview of what organic farming is and how it's regulated and why it truly matters. But just remember, organic farming is not just about natural food. It's a comprehensive system that connects the environment, people, and policy. Before we go into definitions, it's important to understand why organic farming is a relevant topic today. Across Europe, agriculture is facing several major challenges from climate change and soil degradation to biodiversity loss and market pressure related to food quality and safety too. So, organic farming does not represent a universal solution, but it offers a structured and regulated approach to managing these issues through well-defined agronomic and environmental principles. So, it focuses on improving soil fertility, maintaining ecological balance, and reducing dependence on external chemical inputs. Not by simple substitution, but through the design of a resilient production system. The European Union has recognized the role of organic agriculture within the sustainability policies. So, under the Farm to Fork strategies and the Common Agricultural Policy 2023-2027, organic farming is considered a key tool to promote climate and environmental objectives. By 2030, the EU aims to reach 25% of farmland under organic management, and so an ambitious project, but also a strategic target. At the same time, the consumer behavior has evolved. Recently, the EU data showed that more than 65% of citizens are willing to pay more for food produced under sustainable practices, and for many, the organic label remains an important indicator of transparency and trust. So, in this unit, we will analyze organic farming from a technical and systemic perspective, examining its legal framework, production methods, and socio-economic context. So the next sessions will focus on the main agronomic practices used in organic systems, such as seed management, crop rotation, cover cropping, and organic mulching. So all these techniques are central to maintaining soil fertility and ecological stability. So rather than viewing organic farming as a ideology, we will approach it as an evidence-based production system. From an environmental perspective, organic systems are designed to enhance soil structure and organic matter and support biodiversity and promote ecological balance. Regarding the market perspective, demand for organic products continue to increase. In 2022, organic food accounted for about 4% of the total EU market. This corresponds to more or less 45 billion in sales, which is more than double than 2014 value. So globally, all the sector, the organic farming sector, the organic products sector show a similar trend. Finally, the policy dimension further explain its relevance. Within the Common Agricultural Policy and the EU Organic Action Plan, organic farming is strategically supported through financial incentives, research programs, and services that facilitate the transition toward organic system. Certification and eco-labeling schemes in turn ensure traceability and allow consumers to make informed purchasing decision. Now that we have set the stage, let's take a moment to and look what you will actually gain from this unit. We're not just going to talk about farming techniques and how to grow crops without chemicals. We will also do that with an expert. And we will approach organic farming as a complete system, one that integrates environmental management, legal compliance, economic dynamics, and social responsibility. So by the end of this unit, you should be able to understand how the certification process works and how it's really guarantees. Identify the European regulation, what I said before, that's the one that is currently used, the regulation 2018 number 848. You will be able to analyze how agricultural choices can affect both public health and ecosystem stability. And then we will explore the consumer behavior that motivates people to buy organic and evaluate how producers communicate and market their organic products. When we compare organic and conventional agriculture, the main difference is not only the exclusion of synthetic fertilizers and pesticides, but rather the systemic approach that organic farming applies to crop and soil management. Organic farming is based on ecological and agronomic principles that aims to maintain productivity while preserving natural resources over time. This approach rethinks the production process as a whole, from soil and seed to animal welfare and product quality. So with a focus on long-term balance and resource efficiency. So in practical terms, organic systems prioritize maintaining and improving soil fertility through crop rotation and organic amendment, enhancing biodiversity both above and below ground, managing water and nutrients efficiently, and closing cycles through composting and green manures. So these practices reduce external inputs, improve resilience to stress factors, and contributes to the provision of ecosystem services such as soil carbon and erosion control. However, the organic farming also faces technical and economic challenges, such as lower yields in some contexts, higher labor requirements, and the need for well-developed markets and certification systems. When we talk about organic farming, We are referring to a regulated and knowledge-intensive production system designed to integrate environmental goals with economic viability. Not a replacement for all types of agriculture, but one that's a complementary strategy within a sustainable food system. Let's see now the EU regulation. According to EU Regulation 2018, the one that I mentioned before, to 848, organic farming is not just a technique, it's a comprehensive production system. This means it doesn't focus on a single aspect of farming, but integrates several key dimensions. So, environmental protection, preservation of biodiversity, high standards of animal welfare, and the use of natural substances and ecological processes throughout the entire food chain. Now, what truly sets organic farming apart is dual role in society. On one hand, it meets consumer expectations. So people increasingly want food that is healthy, ethical, and transparent. Food that they can trust. The organic label provides that trust, offering and guarantee production methods that respects both people and the planet. But on the other hand, organic farming also generates public goods, things that benefit everyone, not just consumers. It helps protect clean water, contributes to climate change mitigation, and they improve soil quality and revitalization of rural areas. So when we think of organic farming, we shouldn't see as only an economical activity or a small market. It's a societal and environmental commitment. A broader vision of agriculture that serves the common good while promoting long-term sustainability across food system. So, in other words, organic farming is both a way of producing food and a way of shaping the future we want for rural communities and the environment. So the foundation of organic farming rests on a clear set of core principles, which are defined by European legislation and international standards. The first one is a strict prohibition of synthetic inputs. This means no synthetic fertilizers, herbicides, pesticides, or genetically modified organisms, GMOs. And this rule applies not only to crops, but also to animal feed. Now, instead of relying on external inputs and chemical inputs, organic farming focuses on activating natural processing, closing nutrient cycles, and maintaining ecological balance. So, for example, to keep the soil fertile and productive, organic farmers use crop rotation, so to break pest cycles and diversify soil nutrients. Green manures, which return organic matter to the soil. Composting and mulching, so to recycle nutrients and protect the soil surface. And nutrient fixing legumes, which naturally enrich the soil with nitrogen. But there is still an important question to consider. To what extent can these ecological benefits be reproduced under different conditions? different regions, soils, and farm scales. That's part of an ongoing scientific and policies debates. And it's something we will explore later in the course, and we will analyze case studies and comparative analysis. The second one is livestock farming. Animal welfare is a central pillar. Animals must have access to open air and pasture, be fed with organic feed, normally produced on the farm, and be raised without routine antibiotics or hormones. And finally, to make sure that principles are not just theoretical, the EU has set up a rigorous certification and control system. Every product that carries the EU organic logo, so that one, has been verified as multiple stages, from the field to the final package. So ensuring traceability, compliance, and above all, the consumer trust. So as you can see, this is the logo, the green leaf logo. It's not just looking at marketing symbols. It's something, it's more than that. It's consumer trust. And it's ensure transparency. So the environmental benefits of organic farming include improved soil health and fertility, higher levels of on-farm biodiversity, lower chemical runoff and pollution, and also greater resilience to climate variability. However, the key question remains, can organic farming feed the world? If all farms use organic farming. According to researchers, organic farming alone is unlikely to ensure global food security, unless it is supported by strong political commitment, policy investment in research and innovation, and significant reductions in food waste. One of the main limitations is yield performance. So on average, organic yields tend to be 20 to 20% lower than those in conventional system, depending on the crop and also the region. This means that to meet rising global demand, we might need to expand the cultivation area, which could in turn lead to deforestation, land use change, and higher greenhouse gas emissions. So even though organic farming reduces the environmental impacts per hectare, its land use efficiency is still a major point of debates in sustainability science. Now, from the consumer perspective, demand of organic products keep rising. So people often associate them with fewer pesticides residues, better taste, and higher nutrient content, particularly in antioxidants and polyphenols. I wanted to report some systemic reviews that confirm lower contamination levels and slightly higher concentration of certain micronutrients. But the evidence for long-term health benefits remain inconclusive, since overall health depends on broader dietary and lifestyle factors. There is also the issues of accessibility. Organic products are often more expensive and less available in rural or low-income areas. As a result, organic consumption tends to be concentrated among higher income populations, reinforcing existing food inequalities. And as the organic sector continues to grow, it faces new structural barriers. So, certification remains complex and costly. Standards are sometimes inconsistent across countries, and compliance costs can be especially high for small scale producers. So, all of these reminds us an important reality. Organic farming is not a silver bullet, but it does play a crucial role in a broader transition toward sustainable, equitable, and healthy food systems. The real opportunity lies in combining organic principle with advantages in agroecology, fair market access, and integrate food policies. So that combination, innovation built on strong ecological foundation, that in combination is where the future of sustainable farming may truly be found. Sorry, I forget to change the slide. So, as I said, organic farming offer a potential, but also challenges and limitation in lower yields, higher costs and limited access and scalability. So a complex balance between sustainability and feasibility. Let's take a moment to look at what's happening today in the global organic market. Over the last decade, this sector has grown significantly, especially in high-income countries. According to the IFOAM 2024 report, the global market for organic food and beverages exceeded $150 billion in 2023. The United States and the European Union remains the global leaders, both in terms of consumption and the area under organic cultivation. Now, this growth is not happening by chance. It's being driven by a shift in consumer values. So people are increasingly concerned about their health and food safety, environmental sustainability and animal welfare, and also transparency of food supply chains. So, in this context, organic products have become a credible response. They offer fewer chemical residues, more ethical production methods, and stronger traceability. At the same time, interest in organic farming is also expanding into low and middle income countries. But the adoption is slower and often depends on factors such as public policies and access to training and advisory services and institutional supports for certification and market transition. On this slide, I reported a chart showing the projected growth of the global organic food and beverage market from 2020 to 2034. This is broke down by region, so you can see North America, Europe, Asia Pacific, Middle East and Africa, and Latin America. This trend is unmistakably upward. According to the latest forecasts, the global organic market is expected to exceed 1 trillion US dollar by 2034, with a compound annual growth rate about 13.7% between 2025 and 2034. So that's a remarkable figure. It makes the organic sector one of the fastest growing segments in the entire agri-food economy. For now, you can see North America and Europe continue to lead in total market value. However, growth is accelerating in Asia Pacific, Latin America, and even parts of Africa. These tell us that we are not just witnessing regional growth, we are seeing a global shift in consumer behavior. And what's driving this shift? As I said before, health and nutrition, organic, environmental sustainability, ethical consumption, and food transparency. So people want to know where their food comes from, how it is produced, and who benefits from along the supply chain. But with this rapid expansion comes an important challenge. If the supply side, meaning farmers, processors, and distributors, actually ready to meet such a growing demand, so scaling up organic production at this pace will require robust supply chains, harmonized certification system, and mostly important, inclusive support for small and medium-sized producers. So, if emerging economies are to benefit from this trend, not just as consumer but as active contributors to organic supply chains, we need to address several structural barriers, such as access to finance, access to training and advisory services, and participation in markets. So, while the projections look incredibly promising, they raise a deeper question. Will the organic movement remain concentrated in wealthy regions, or will it truly evolve into a global transformation that includes producers and consumers from every part of the world? So, that's one of the central challenges for the next decade. So, we have just seen the organic market is expanding, driven by global consumer demand for healthier, more sustainable, and transparent food systems. But this rapid growth doesn't come without consequences. If we want organic farming to keep its promise, not just as market trend but a truly sustainable agricultural model, we need to look beyond economics and consumer behavior. We need to ask, what are the real environmental impacts of this expansion? That brings us to the next key question. How does organic farming actually perform when it comes to climate change mitigation and greenhouse gas emissions? One of the most frequently cited environmental benefits of organic farming is its potential to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, especially when we look at the entire life cycle of agricultural production. The biggest climate saving come from the elimination of synthetic nitrogen fertilizers, which are among the major contributors to agricultural emissions. Take urea, for example, one of the most commonly used nitrogen fertilizers in conventional farming. Producing urea requires large amounts of natural gas through what's known as the Haber-Bosch process, which is extremely energy intensive. For every ton of urea produced, nearly 2 tons of CO2 equivalent are released into the atmosphere, according to the FAO 2021. In organic systems, these inputs are not allowed. This translates into significantly lower fossil energy use and fewer emissions per hectare of cultivated land. However, there is an important counterpoint we must consider. Organic farming often results in lower yields, on average 20-25% less than conventional system, depending on the crop type and region. So, if we need to produce the same of food, organic system may require land, and that additional comes from natural ecosystems, forests, wetlands, and grasslands. Potential of it could be or even reversed. Reducing emissions per hectare means of food produced. The true climate impact of organic farming depends on how we balance two main factors: of fossil and the potential land use expansion. This is at the core of the current scientific debates around agroecology and land sparing. So that's the kind of critical thinking we will continue to develop as we move into the final part of these lessons. Let's close this lesson with a few key takeaways. First, remember that organic farming is not simply chemical free agriculture, it's a regulated and holistic system built on the principles of ecological balance, natural cycles, and animal welfare, all of which are clearly defined in EU Regulation 2018/848. The second point is organic farming can deliver important environmental benefits: healthier soil, higher biodiversity, and lower greenhouse gas emissions per hectare. At the same time, we have to acknowledge its challenges, particularly in yield performance, land use efficiency, and the accessibility of organic production for small farmers. The third point is the global organic market continues to expand rapidly, driven by changing consumer values and a growing demand for transparency and sustainability. Yet the growing remains uneven. Many producers, especially in low and middle income regions, still face barriers such as high certification costs, limited training, and lack of market access. Fourth, we should keep in mind that sustainability is multidimensional. It's not only about environmental outcomes, it also includes economic viability, social equity, and fair access to healthier food for everyone. So, finally, there is no single model that fits all situations. The impact of organic farming always depends on context, on local ecosystems, policy frameworks, technological innovation, and how well organic principles are intended into broader food systems. So that's all for today's lesson. Thank you all for your attention, and I will see you in the next session.